Today we will be reviewing Cell by Stephen King. So Cell was released in 2006 and is in the genres of horror and apocalyptic fiction. So to give you a general overview of the book, but not spoil anything, I'll give you this. So Cell follows Clayton Rydell, a comic book artist who finds himself in the middle of an unimaginable disaster when a mysterious signal called the Pulse is sent out over the global cell phone network. Anyone using a cell phone at the moment is instantly transformed into a violent, mindless killer. As society unravels, Clay teams up with a small group of survivors, including Tom and Alice, to search for his son and navigate a world overrun by the phoners. Along the way, the group faces escalating dangers and the burdens of bizarre collective intelligence among the afflicted. So, it's obviously set in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's kind of like a zombie book, I would say. And I'll go right into my opinion. I personally believe this book is a 2-star book. It doesn't mean I didn't like the book. I did like the book. Number one, because it was the first Stephen King book I ever read, and everyone remembers their first Stephen King book they ever read. And two, I never read anything about like a zombie-ish like setting, so I thought this was a pretty cool intro, and it was like a different take on like what you would see in like mainstream media, in like video games or in TV shows. So I thought that was cool. But I said it's enjoyable in the moment, but it lacks when comparing to the rest of Stephen King's work. And I say this because I read The Shining right after I read this, and it just blew me away, the big difference. It's obviously he can make both, but The Shining just blew me away in all categories when compared to Cell. It is interesting, and it has a lot of tense scenes, but overall it's not as memorable as his other works, as I said, as The Shining. I also read Carrie, so I would say I probably liked Carrie more than this too. It's fun. It's a quick read on readers' standards. It's like 368 pages, I think. But it's not like one I would like rush to like revisit, reread. That would be more of like something out of The Shining I would do. I would definitely read The Shining again. It's probably my favorite book of all time. So there's a lot of elements of this book. The concept is creative. It grabs your attention right away. As I said, it's not the typical zombie scenario that you see in other books or TV shows. The opening scenes, I will say, the opening scene was a crazy scene. Like that's the problem with the book, I would say, because like you got like almost the most suspense in that scene, and then one scene at the end. So like it kind of like slowed down towards the middle. The characters are likable though, because you have a few main characters, so you get to like them a lot. I mean, it's obviously not the characters you would get in like The Shining, like Jack Torrance in The Shining. You get crazy character development. You don't get that in this book. Like I said, it loses momentum in the middle of the book, and it kind of becomes repetitive a little bit. Not so much that it's unreadable, just that it doesn't grab your attention like another book might have. And then the ending, I would say, it kind of left you underwhelmed. I mean, that's kind of like what the whole purpose of horror is kind of like not to leave you with a good feeling. But it's also, I felt like it might have been incomplete, in my opinion. So my conclusion is that Cell is an entertaining read, has unique apocalyptic twists, and I enjoyed the book. One, because it's Stephen King bias. Everyone loves Stephen King, and it's also two, because it's the first one I read by him. But three, I actually did genuinely like this book. I thought it was a cool concept. Um, and then obviously, as I said before, like 3 times, it's not the best compared to his other works. Um, so I would say this book is like a 2-star when compared to Stephen King's other works. But as a book in itself, I would say maybe like 2.5 star, because if it's just standalone book and you're thinking about that compared to every single book on the planet, I would say it's like a 2.5. But I'm gonna have to give that thing a 2. So yeah, that's Cell. It's a good read. If you're trying to complete some Stephen King, it definitely gives you a view of what else he can do other than like his classical horror styles. Because I read both Carrie and The Shining, and this is a lot of it. This book is very different from those, both in writing and just in stop in the and just the style at which he goes at it. But I mean, it's the GOAT. It's Stephen King, so you really can't miss with him. Even his best book is going to be a better book than some other books out there. So that's all I'll say about Stephen King's Cell. Go read it if you want. It's a 2-star, but it's a good read. It's a 2-star that's a good read, not a 2-star that leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth. That's all I'll say. So thanks for joining me again, and I'll probably be hitting you guys with the new book review very soon. So see you later.